Hello, my name's Clive Woods and welcome to our garden in Leeds. This afternoon I want to speak to you about growing tomatoes, which is a very profitable thing to do and very easy, so I'd recommend it if you haven't grown many vegetables before. It all starts off back in February or March. That's when you buy your seeds and you put them into a pot of this size, perhaps 6 in a pot this size, half an inch deep. Don't forget to put a label on it and then put it somewhere warm. A propagator, if you've got one, a warm windowsill inside the house will do just as well. Keep your eye on it. The young plants will grow very slowly at first. When they're about an inch tall, then they need to be separated and put into individual pots of this same size. And then they start to grow pretty quickly, but they can't take the frost, so it's all got to be inside your greenhouse, conservatory, or inside your house. Any frost or low temperatures, that's the end of them, I'm afraid, and you'll have to start all over again. Now the one I choose to grow and have done now for about half a dozen years is called Gardener's Delight. Those really small cherry tomatoes that it produces, well, we've had some this year at the end of June, which is much earlier than any other tomatoes that I've tried. I've tried others, Tigerella, Shirley, to name 2, but they're bigger, but they're less successful. The flavour for me isn't as good. But I always try something new, and here we've got a very small miniature one, which is supposed to be ideal for patios and outside, and it's looking pretty healthy now, but it has been inside. We're in July now. Once I put it outside, things often seem not to do so well, given our summers up here in Leeds. So let's give you an idea of how we pot things on. That's what we start with. We then put them into individual pots, similar size. We then move up to that, or something like this, then into this, and then we've got a plant perhaps this size, and that is ready to move on to its final pot, something like this, or perhaps even bigger. Once they get to this size, they're incredibly greedy plants. They need loads of watering, and if you put them into a bigger pot, then there's less watering than in this size. You'll be watering twice a day, and it'll flop over if you don't do it. So, potting on. It's got a stake, this one. There are 2 types. They're the cordon type, which go up and up, and you pinch out the side shoots, and we can look at that later. And then there are the bush ones, which have lots of shoots from the bottom. Don't need much staking, and are much better outside if you've got the climate. So you can see this plant, the roots are pretty tight now. It needs moving on into that using good multi-purpose compost, or if you've got your own compost, so much the better. They do need feeding quite a lot. You can either use a standard fertilizer, or of course there are tomato ones are supposed to encourage the fruiting, or when you put them in their bigger pots you can use the slow release plant foods, which should take a lot of the effort out of putting fertilizer on. I tend to do a mixture of all of them actually, it depends on what you remember, particularly with these. So that's sort of the introduction. Perhaps now you'd like to come with me and we'll look at some of the different types of tomatoes we've got growing here in Leeds in July.